Good morning, folks. Welcome to Saturday morning fast start training. My name is Fred Holmes. I'm a independent Zija distributor. As you can see, Life Unlimited with Zija International. Welcome to my home office. It's a beautiful thing to be able to make probably about a 20 foot commute from the living room over to the office and share some information with you. So what we're going to do this morning, I'm going to share some concepts that were shared with me some 30 plus years ago. Back in the mid 80s, I was obviously a much younger man, and I was a cross country truck driver at that time. Loved what I was doing, made a decent living at it, but it wasn't a sufficient amount of income, nor the amount of time freedom I needed to provide for my young son as he was entering school age. And what I found through the network marketing industry was everything that I was looking for: a way to create a substantially above average income, an opportunity to be able to have time freedom and flexibility in my day-to-day schedule. And what really attracted me to this was what I'm going to share with you right now. This goes back to my first Saturday training back in the day, and what I saw from this training, and you may want to jot these things down in your notes. What I saw was a simple system. It looked like it would work, and I thought I could do it. And that is foundational to the success in building a multi-level business, because if the people you introduce to your income opportunity look at what you're doing, and in their mind they say, this looks simple, looks like it'll work, I think I can do it, then they'll engage. And what I was told is, if you do a little bit of this, you can make some money. If you do a little bit more for a longer period of time, you can make more money. And if you do enough of this long enough, you could get rich. And the key to our type of business is getting started. All right, that's really the bottom line, is to get started. And so the things I'm going to share with you were things that were taught to me many, many years ago. I have been able to share these concepts with many people over the last 3+ decades. I've been able to create, not only for myself, okay, today my lifestyle, my ability to have significant residual income, to have the time freedom to do what's important to me today. Today I stay home, I take care of my elderly mother. I work from home. That's really kind of a key to my Zija story. But for many, many other people, to be able to provide an avenue where they can provide some supplemental income to their families. For others, it's a way to create a full-time income and being able to do that during the hours they choose and do it from home. For others, it's been a way to create true financial independence and prosperity. So hopefully by now you've got your journal up, right? Got to keep your journal handy, ready to take some notes. This was my perspective when I first started, and what I teach. The average person getting involved in a network marketing business, they really only want to know, what do I do and how do I do it? And so we want to keep this really simple. There's only 3 things that we do in our business, and I want you to write this in your notes. Number 1, we share our products. That's foundational to what we do. Number 2, we share our income opportunity. That's not a requirement to be involved, but it does create leverage. It allows you to leverage the activities of many other people for your development of your customer base and your income. And then finally, number 3, we teach others to do the same. So we share our product, we share our income opportunity, and we teach others to do the same. Now, let's talk about how we do that. First, let's talk about sharing our products. 3 important ingredients to successfully sharing your Zija products with other people. Number 1 is to use the product. That's key. If you are using the product, then you'll have a personal experience on the products, and you're going to be able to share your personal experience with people. Number 2, you're going to need to talk to people. Now, that may seem kind of like, one of those, duh, Fred moments. But yeah, you're going to have to talk to people. That's what we do. You can kind of, take this one to the bank. Nobody is going to bang on your door in the morning and say, hey, you guys got any ZJ in there for me? See, you are going to have to talk to people. I'm going to elaborate on that in just a moment. And then here's the key third ingredient. Tell the stories of people's results on the product, yours and others. So 3 ingredients to successfully sharing our product. Number 1, use the product. Number 2, talk to people. And number 3, share the stories. And I'm going to break that down in just a moment so you get a little bit more detail on that, but it is simply that simple, okay? If you get too carried away and making it complicated, then somebody's going to look at your system and they're going to go, doesn't look very simple, can't figure out how it works, and I'm pretty sure I can't do it. And we already know that if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. And that's why we want to keep this very simple and duplicatable. So first thing we do is share the product. Second thing we do is we share the income opportunity, and there's 3 steps, if you will, to doing that. Okay, number 1 is use the product. All right, if you're using our products, you will be a product of the product. I have to tell you, that's really a critical ingredient to success when you're working in a health and wellness profession. For myself personally, I've been using these ZJ products now, I guess, over 9 years. Today, I am literally 40 pounds lighter than I was, almost 40 pounds. It's like 37, 38 pounds lighter than I was the day I joined ZJ. And I certainly wasn't considered fat back then. Nobody would have looked at me and said, oh, he's obese. I was an average guy, you know. I was tagging close to 200 pounds, 6'1". Today, I weigh what I weighed when I was in my early 20s. And see, that is a meaningful experience, not just for me, but a story to share. So if you want to be successful sharing your income opportunity, use the products. Number 2, guess what? Talk to people. Again, you're going to need to talk to people. And number 3, share the stories of success in the business, your story and the stories of others. So let's break this down a little bit because obviously I want to give you some details, something that you can work with. Number 1, let's talk about using the products. And for those of you that are writing down your notes, you're going, wait a minute, Fred, the 3 ingredients to sharing the product and sharing the opportunity are the same. Use the products, talk to people, share the stories. Yes, it is that simple. So under using the products, here's my recommendation to you. Use all the products all the time. Now, realistically, when you start looking at the products that are available through our company, average person can't use all the products all the time. There's a lot of products. Now, personally in our home, we use all the products, okay? 1, because I can, okay, financially. And we use lots of the products. Here's the key, is that the products that you use will be the products that you have a personal experience with, and they'll be the products they'll end up talking about and selling. See, one of the things that I find very interesting when I'm, doing a large meeting and I start talking about the skincare line, it's like the ladies in the audience, they'll sit forward and start to listen. The fellows in the audience, they go back and start, zoning out. Like, oh, skincare, talk to my wife about that. Well, I use the skincare. I use the skincare every single day. And because I have personal experience with the skincare, I end up selling a lot of skincare. And so the products that you use will be the products that you'll speak about. And here's a key ingredient to the concept of using the products. Write this in your notes because it's really important. People communicate with feelings, not with words. And some of you will understand what I'm saying. Have you ever spoken with somebody that may have been saying really nice things to your face, but you could tell that they really didn't mean it or they really didn't feel that way? See, people communicate with feelings, not with words. In our type of business, unlike a traditional direct sales type of business, we really don't want to get too involved in being able to learn all the ingredients and so on and so forth, because frankly, that's not duplicatable. That's not fun, simple, magical. We want something that's fun, simple, works like magic. Just being able to share your personal story. I started using the ZJ product our original smart drink, Moringa drink, and within 4 days, I was able to come off of pain medication, anti-inflammatory medication I'd been on for months because of a bad shoulder surgery. I literally could not raise my shoulder until I got my first morning dose of the drugs. In 4 days, I forgot to take the drugs in the morning. That's how good this product is. I've been able to lose close to 40 pounds. I feel better, look better, and I'm healthier and better shape today than I've been in 20 or probably 30 years. So your personal experience on the products, you will communicate that, and that is so much more effective than trying to share, 90 plus verifiable ingredients, 36 anti-inflammatories, 46 antioxidants, all that kind of stuff. We don't want to teach ingredients. We want to teach stories. Number 2, talk to people. And I'm going to break that down real specific here. Talking to people, that is the nature of our profession, but it's also the nature of what people do. We do network marketing every single day of our lives. Have you ever gone to a good restaurant and mentioned that to a friend? Hey, listen, if you're looking for great, barbecue, go over to Bob's Barbecue Barn or whatever. We do it all the time. Or if you see a great movie or you see a bad movie, you're going to say, oh, don't waste your money on that movie, or this was a great movie, you guys need to go see it. That's what we do as people. And that's what we do in our profession of network marketing. However, here's something you need to be really clear on. This profession can be done as a profession, as a professional, or you can do it as a hobby and do it, just like an average person. And the problem with that, quite simply, is that the results you get are going to be determined by the focus you have in your business. If you do it as a hobby, you're going to get hobbyist results. If you do it as a professional, as a serious business, you can make some really serious money. I mean, I'm looking at a couple of people that, I see this is likely a young man that I met many years ago. I see Peter on the line. Peter is a good example, and Peter, if you're not the Peter I'm thinking about, well then forgive me, but it's a great story. Here's a young man, and we're talking probably close to 30 years ago, coming up on 30 years ago. Met him up in Canada. Had a burning desire to create a 6-figure income, but didn't want to work in a cubicle the rest of his life. Taught him this simple system. He's made millions of dollars. He's never had a job since then. He's been a professional in network marketing. And yep, that's you. Hey, good to see you, Pete. Totally, dude. But a good example that if you work this like a professional, it can create true financial security and even go beyond that to financial abundance. And so here's my suggestion to you. If you want to get significant results, do what the professionals do in terms of talking to people. It's one of my favorite hashtags. Success leaves clues. You want to learn how to be successful? Do what the successful people do. Pure and simple. When I decided I wanted to learn how to drive a truck, I wanted to be a cross-country truck driver, I didn't go to a school and pay people to teach me how to drive a truck. People that weren't making money driving trucks, they were making money teaching people. There's something that's an interesting concept. What I did is I went to a trucking company, knew a fella, had a small trucking company, told him I was interested in learning how to drive, and he let me come and hang out with Morris, the yard guy, learn how to work on the trucks, learn how to load them, how to drive them. I didn't get paid for it. Okay, but I was putting in many hours a week learning it, and then eventually there was an opportunity for me to drive a truck. And see, that's the best way to do this, is to learn by doing it. Now, follow the successful people. Here's a really important ingredient to talking to people. Start with a list of people. Now, the average or hobbyist or novice network marketer, they'll think of a few friends' names and then they'll call them. They may even go to a step farther and write a few names down. I'm going to suggest to you that the professionals can create a prospect list, a list of people to talk to that in many cases can be 100, 200, 300 people. And the average person doesn't think in terms of that many people that they know. I will encourage you to do what I did the day I started Zija. The big advantage I had when I started Zija, this is my third successful multi-level opportunity. So I didn't have to figure out how to do Zija. I simply did what I had been taught many years earlier. I used a memory jogger. You may want to make a note on that. Memory jogger. Now, a memory jogger is simply a paper and pencil tool that has, 200, 300 names or types of people that everybody knows. It's a great way to establish a list of people to talk to. Now, there's memory joggers. You can find them on the internet. Your upline, active, engaged upline distributors, they'll have a memory jogger for you. I have one that I like to use. Reach out to me. I'll send you a copy of the one that I use. But what it is, it's a way to be able to develop a list of people that you know to talk to. Now, a couple of points here. Number one, why do we start with people we know? I guess my first question would be, why not? Why wouldn't you want the people that you know, the people you care about, the people that you love, to have the benefits of our products or offer them an opportunity to create the kind of incomes that are available in our profession? Why wouldn't you want to talk to the people you know? Second issue, the reason we talk to people we know is very simple. Our job is to merely share the stories of what happens to people who get on our products, the stories of what happens to people who get involved in our type of business. And the fact of the matter is, somebody that you know is much more likely to take a few minutes and hear your story than a total stranger. Think about this for a minute. Walk up to a total stranger on the street and say, hey, I've got a great story to tell. I'd like to tell it to you. What do you think they're going to do? It depends. If you're in a major metropolitan city, they might shoot you because you're too weird. You never know, right? But people that you know, they're a whole lot more likely to be willing to take a few minutes to hear your story. So we always start with what's referred to as a warm market. Now, the average person may think of 5 or even 10 people that they associate with on a regular basis. When they use a memory jogger, that list can immediately expand to 50 or 100 people very quickly in just a single setting. And imagine how much more quickly your brand new distributor will move if they see that they have a potential of speaking to 50 or 80 or 100 people versus 3 or 4 or 5. Now, I go into much more depth on how to develop your prospect list using a memory jogger. You can find, I do a little training on that, how to create the list. It's on my YouTube channel. Go to www.youtube.com/Fred Holmes Zija. That's it. You'll find it there. And so I encourage you to take a look at that. It's beyond the scope of this morning's training, but it is in much more depth on how to be successful, not just in developing your own prospect list, but how to teach others to do the same, because that's the final component of the 3 things we do. We share the product, we share the opportunity, and we teach others to do the same. Now, when you're talking to people, I'm going to suggest to you that you can do this as an amateur and hope you get results, or you can do it as a professional following a simple system that creates duplication. Now, I will tell you, because there's always somebody out there that wants to try and reinvent the wheel. You can put this in your notes, okay? It doesn't make any difference what you do. Everything works. If you do enough of it, everything works. Example, here's like the worst thing in the world that you could do. Stand out in front of Walmart, watching people come out the door, hold up your sample of Zija, and say something like, say, you wouldn't want to buy this, would you? Now, nobody's going to do that, because that is like a zero-brainer. That is the worst possible approach ever. But the example that I'm giving to you, everything works if you do enough of it. Eventually, there will come a time, if you stand out there long enough, eventually there'll come a time that I'll walk out of Walmart. You're going to stand up and go, say, you wouldn't want to buy any of this, would you? And I'm going to look at you and I'm going to think, my goodness, this poor person probably got kids starving at home. And I'm going to feel bad for you. And I'll say, I don't know. I might want to buy it. Tell me about it. And see, everything works. Now, obviously, you'd like to do things that are more effective, more efficient, and be better at doing those things. So here's the system that I was taught over 30 years ago. I've taught it for 3 decades. It's made not just me a fortune, it's made a lot of people a fortune in this industry. 3 steps to talking with people. Number 1, invitation. That's what you do. Invite somebody to take a look at what you've got, to look at your products, to look at your opportunity. This applies to both whether you're prospecting a potential customer or a potential team member, somebody to join you in your endeavor. I'm going to talk more about the opportunity because that's where you create more leverage and a larger consumer base. But the first step, step 1, is invitation. That's what you do. Invite people to learn information about what you're doing. Second step, the presentation. Now, the presentation is the information that you're offering people, you're inviting them to look at. The presentation, be real clear on this, you don't do that, okay? You do not do the presentation. Use tools to do the presentation. And the simple fact is, folks, when you invite somebody to look, if the invitation is framed up correctly, invite somebody to look and make your invitation something that's meaningful to them. Let's say, you're talking to friends, young couple, okay, got a baby, second one's on the way, both mom and dad work. They're looking for a way to be able to create enough income that maybe one of the parents could stay home and raise the kids. What a wonderful thing. And if you think about that, in many cases, an extra $200 or $300 a week, an extra $1,000 a month, that could almost make that possible once you factor in the cost of transportation, two cars, wardrobe, babysitting, childcare, cost of food because nobody's at home cooking. You got to buy more expensive food, bring it home. For many young couples, an extra $1,000 a month, maybe $1,500 a month, that could make that possible. When you frame up that invitation in a manner that's meaningful to that person, they're going to be intrigued. Hey, Bob, I found a way that you can create an additional income stream from home. Mary could stay home and raise the kids. Is that something you'd be interested in learning about? What's Bob going to say? No, I like my kids being raised in childcare. I like seeing my wife have to go to work. And no, he's going to say, sure, what do you got? Okay, what you're looking for is some kind of request for information. This is permission-based. I might be interested in that. Tell me all about it. Now, at that point in time, we're ready to move to step 2, which is a presentation. The novice networker is going to start telling them everything they know. Oh, it's a great company, Ken Brailsford, billion-dollar infrastructure, blah, 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 blah. Problem is, and I'm going to be very candid with you, if you try to provide the information, if you try to do the presentation, you will either be too good or too bad. That's the only possible options. You will either be so bad at it that the information is they're never going to hear it. They're not going to see it. It won't make an impact. Or you're going to be so good, they're going to think, wow, this is a great company, great products, what a tremendous opportunity, but I'll never be as good as he is at sharing the story or she is. And that is not duplicatable. The system is simple. It's designed to be duplicated by the masses. Now, first step, invitation. You do that. Second step is the presentation. You don't do that. Use a tool. We got lots of tools today. Unlike, when I first started, we didn't have any tool. We had one little, cheesy 5-minute audio recording that we were using as our tool. Today, we've got DVDs and CDs, and we've got online videos and webinar presentations and, local meetings. I mean, there's just a multitude of tools that one can use. And I typically get asked this question: what tool should I use? Folks, doesn't make any difference as long as you're using a tool. My recommendation: use a tool that you like, something that impacts you, that affects you. Because if it's something that you feel good about, you will be communicating that through your feelings on the significance of the tool. So pick one you like. That's probably the simplest thing to do. Step one, invitation. Step two, presentation. Now, step three, and this is the key, validation, third-party validation. If you want to, think of step one and step two as simply, the prequel to the real step, which is third-party validation. Third-party validation means having somebody beside yourself, somebody else, sharing their story on the products or on the opportunity, answering the questions, addressing objections, helping the potential customer distributor move forward in terms of additional action. Having somebody else tell the story. That third-party validation is critical, a critical element in the success of this simple system, and here's the reason why. Your friends, your contacts, they know you, okay? And they've already decided who you are and how successful you can be. When you get somebody else to speak to them, that changes everything. It's another story. Now, this is going to be very important for those of you just getting started. When you talk to somebody about a great income opportunity and the potential, you've already seen all this. You already know the people that have been able to build, very enviable lifestyles or financial security, and you're excited about that. But using the tools, you can share this information, and your prospect may actually be very interested. Here's the problem. Until you have developed a success story, this is merely theory. It is theory that this works. Your prospect is likely to say something like, Mary or Bob, sounds really good. Keep in touch with me. Tell me how you're doing. I might want to get involved. There's the problem. See, you failed to follow the third step. Now, the third step is get somebody else on the phone with them. And third-party validation can come in many formats. Most common, it's in the format of a three-way or a conference call using the three-way calling feature on your phone, where you connect, your prospective distributor customer with one of your active engaged uplines. Introduce them. Let the upline share their story. Let the upline answer questions. Let somebody else do the deal. That takes you out of the equation. Obviously, this makes a lot of sense for the brand new person, but frankly, I did the same thing. One of the reasons I was able to get off to such a fast start in my Zija business is I followed the system. It's a system I learned that made me a lot of money. It's a system I've taught many people, which has made me a fortune. And it's the system I used the day I started Zija. I didn't do the talking because some people were aware that I've already been very successful in this industry. I needed to have somebody else do it. And here's what's going to happen. Your prospect, they're going to realize how simple this is. All Fred did is he, asked me if I'd be interested in hearing about an income opportunity, showed me a video, put me on the phone with that guy, David. And David said he'll work with me. I can do that. See, what I can't do is learn all the information, be a great presenter, whatever. But I can invite somebody to look, share a video, and put that guy on the phone. And if it looks simple, if it looks like it works, if they think they can do it, then they'll engage. If they get started and they continue and they do a little bit, they'll make some money. If they do a little bit more, they'll make more money. And if they do enough of the system long enough, they could get rich. That's the magic of this business. Now, before I conclude here, I got a couple things I want to share with you. This will be very helpful, both in the short term and the long term. First thing I want to share, the difference between concepts versus techniques. So you should write this in your notes. Concepts versus techniques. Now, concepts, they remain constant over time. Concepts, how to build the business, what we do, and so on. The concepts are duplicatable by the masses. Now, techniques, entirely different thing. Techniques are specific to an individual. Concepts remain constant over time. Techniques will vary based on time, technology, circumstances, location, what have you. I don't teach techniques because they are not duplicatable by the masses. I teach concepts. Now, everybody wants to know techniques, right? Where do I go? What do I do? Who do I talk to? What do I say? And folks, I'm going to really caution you against being that person that teaches techniques. I'll give you a classic example. If you want to be successful in this business, you got to have a home party launch immediately. You got to do a home party launch. Now, doing in-home presentations, inviting your friends over, have a little sampling party, watch a video, share some stories. Is that a great way to build your business? Absolutely. It's a great way to build your business. It has all the elements, invitation, presentation, validation. Okay, it's a great way, and you're getting to talk with a lot of people all at the same time. Why don't I specifically teach that? Because it's not duplicatable by the masses. What if you're a brand new person, maybe they live in a very modest home, maybe they don't feel comfortable inviting their friends over, a large number of people over to their home, or maybe they're new in the area and they don't have a large circle of contacts in the home, in that area. People don't understand this. I have never had, in 3 multi-level companies in over 30 years, I've never had a personal in-home presentation. Okay, it didn't work for me. For me, my home was my sanctuary. That was the place where my son was. Okay, I didn't do business in that environment. It just wasn't it. But if you told me I'm not going to be successful unless I do an in-home launch in my my personal residence, you would have lost me. And what a mistake, being the person that blew out Fred Holmes from the opportunity. Okay, now, have I done in-home meetings? Do them all the time. I've done them in the home, being the upline for my new distributor, sharing the story. I do them all the time via the webinar format. People, will invite people into the home, do the presentation, get the computer hooked up to the big screen, and I'm right there in the home. Get to answer questions, share my story, deal with objections. Do them all the time. If somebody wants to do an in-home meeting, will I teach them how to do it? Absolutely. But I don't make that technique the issue. Second thing I want to share, and this all leads to, dealing with objections. Write this in your notes. 90% opinion, 10% fact. 90% opinion, 10% fact. See, everybody's knowledge is unfortunately 90% their opinion and 10% based on fact. That's just the way it is, okay? Everybody eats food, so therefore everybody is an expert on nutrition. Everybody works for a living, okay? Or hopefully they do. I won't get started on that one. Everybody works for a living, okay? Now, therefore, that makes everybody an expert on how to create income. The problem is 90% of what they believe to be true is frankly based on their opinion, and only about 10% on fact. And so once you understand that, this will be a terrific asset to you to understand that and then be able to address objections. And the way you address objections is to use a simple little phrase. You may want to write this in your notes. I don't know about that. All I know is, and then share a story. Okay, so let's do this one. I don't believe you need to use nutritional products to be healthy. Folks, that's that person's opinion. It's based upon a certain amount of knowledge, a certain amount of information, but it's frankly primarily just their opinion. You don't need nutritional supplements to have a healthy diet. Now, you can argue with them. You can tell them all the facts about the degradation of the food chain and, Monsanto and, Roundup in the carrots. It's not going to make any difference. They know what they know. It's the facts as far as they're concerned. So here's how I would respond to that. I don't know about that. All I know is that I've been using Zija Moringa for several years now. I weigh almost 40 pounds less than I did, and I'm in better shape today in my mid 60s than I was in my mid 40s. Okay. I don't know about that. All I know is, and share your story, or share a story of somebody else that might be meaningful to your prospect. Here's another one. Oh, network marketing, multi-level marketing. Oh, those things don't work. Folks, you can do all you want in terms of sharing information, almost a $200 billion a year industry, fastest growing, business in the world today, whatever you want, okay, to convince them they are wrong. But remember, their knowledge is 90% opinion, 10% fact. The only way you're going to address that objection is in this format. Okay, network marketing, those things don't work. Well, I don't know about that. All I know is I'm working with a guy named Fred Holmes. This guy makes a fortune. He does it part-time from home. Or here's another one. Network marketing. That's that deal where only the people at the top make the big money. I don't know about that. All I know is I'm working with a gal named Dee Shaw. She's a stay-at-home mom, homeschools her kids, and she's created a six-figure income working part-time from home. I don't know about that. All I know is a story. Now, will that change people's minds? I don't know. Okay, it depends. What I do know is you'll get absolutely nowhere arguing with somebody or trying to tell them they're wrong. And if you use this technique, I don't know about that. All I know is, and then share a story, preferably a story that would be meaningful to them in their circumstances, who they are, maybe what their health issues are, whatever. That is the best chance you have of converting somebody from what they believe to starting to move in the direction of what you'd like to share with them. And I fall back always on this very common thing that I've been talking about all day long, okay, or all morning long. If you do a little of this, you can make some money. If you do a little bit more often, you'll make more money. And if you do enough of this long enough, if you talk to enough people who are not interested in network marketing or interested in nutritional products, if you do enough of it long enough, you could get rich. So that's really the foundation of what I learned in that first, Saturday morning training. And everything that this training is designed to do is to simply allow you to get to people. This is the beauty of the Zija Network Marketing Compensation Plan. Zija International's got the most lucrative, sustainable compensation plan of anything I've ever seen in the entire industry in over 30 years. It starts with 2 people. If you simply get 2 people, and here's really the key, everybody knows 2 people, at least 2 people that can do this. You might have to talk to 5 or 10 or 20 or 30. What difference does it make how many people you have to talk to? You just got to find 2. And if you can find 2, then the next step is to help them find their 2. And now you'll have 4 on your second level. And then help those 4 find their 2. And now you'll have 8. And then do it one more time. And folks, I'm going to tell you right now, if there's a secret to my success, it's not a secret. I'll tell anybody who's willing to hear this. I work in depth because I learned a long time ago that my job is to either create stories by building an organization under the person I'm working with, or if I do that, I will eventually find the person that I'm looking for. I mentioned to you a story of a young man named Peter, 21 years old when he first started with me. That's probably close to 25 years ago. Peter's made millions, him and his wife. They've made millions in this industry. They've lived a lifestyle that most people even have a hard time dreaming about. He was not somebody I sponsored. He was, I believe, on my 3rd level. But what I did is I continued to work in depth till I either created the story I wanted to have, or I found the person I was looking for. So that's what I wanted to share this morning in terms of an outline so that you can do that third component. What do we do in our type of business? Share the product, share the opportunity, and teach others to do the same. You don't have to wait till Saturday morning to have me do it. You don't have to direct them to a video. You know, this will be archived, of course, on the YouTube channel. You can sit down and become the leader and start teaching you yourself. Now, I did say I wanted to share for a couple of minutes, the concept of a daily method of operation. And this really applies to those of you that are serious about building a replacement level of income, and maybe even going beyond that, beyond a full-time income from your part-time business and moving into, you know, true financial security. And maybe even beyond that into true financial abundance. The simplest thing that one can do is the most important thing, and that is to work your Zija business like a business. Now, here's our challenge. 95% of the people in North America are employees. They don't own a business. They work for somebody else. 5% of the people in North America, they're business owners. They're the ones that hire employees. Now, the problem is there's a major difference between successful employee activities and successful business owner activities. Two entirely different things. See, one of the reasons I like working with people that already own their own business or already self-employed, they've already learned these things. They already understand the concept of self-employment. We got to teach this to the 95%ers, okay? And our educational system, you know, and I'm not bashing teachers in the educational system. It is what it is, okay? Here's the problem. Our educational system was never designed to create success or wealth. It was designed to create good employees. In school, we start out right away learning. We are told when to arrive, where to sit, what to do, when to take our break, when to take our lunch, where to take our lunch, and when to go home, okay? And we are not held accountable for evaluating our results because we get report cards quarterly or, you know, annually or whatever. Same thing when you become an employee. The boss tells you what time to show up for work, where to sit, what to do, when to take your break, when to take your lunch, maybe even tells you where to take your lunch by virtue of the fact you only get 30 minutes. There's very few places you can go do lunch. They tell you when to go home, and you are not held accountable for your productivity, your results, until you get either your, you know, quarterly, annual, semi-annual report, or you get fired, right? That's employees. So many years ago, and I had an advantage here as a cross-country truck driver, pretty much anything I've ever done. I've always, and this was just the way I was raised. My grandfather taught me this. What kind of work you do, what you do, you know, janitor, you know, truck driver, doctor, it doesn't make any difference what you do for a living. The quality of the work you bring, that's what the primary issue is. And so I was always the guy that was worth double what they were paying me for, because that's how I was taught to be as a young man. As a cross-country truck driver, this goes back to the days before cell phones and GPSs and that sort of thing. I was the only one that could make that decision to get the load in on time, you know. Now, my dispatcher might say, you got to have that, you know, the truck in Lincoln, Nebraska by 5 p.m. on Friday, or else you won't get it loaded until Monday. I was one that had to route myself, determine how long I should be running to make sure I accomplished that, and I did a very good job of that. So here's something that was taught to me a long, long time ago by a gentleman by the name of Jim Rohn. Now, many of you have heard of Jim Rohn. I had the privilege many years ago of being able to meet Jim Rohn, spend some time with him. Incredibly, you know, a powerful gentleman. Many people have learned a lot from him. One of the things that he shared is a little training. He called it Celebrate or Fix. And you may want to grab a new page in your notes. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Celebrate or Fix. How to develop a daily method of operation. Because if you work this like a real business, not as a hobbyist, but as a real business, you can start on a part-time basis with non-productive hours, you know, 10 hours a week maybe, and you can build a financial empire by simply doing a daily method of operation long enough. Now, the concept of the training was called Celebrate or Fix. Here's the concept: setting up a daily method of operation. 3 simple steps. Okay, number 1, tonight, before you go to bed, take your journal, take a, pad of paper, and ink on paper, write down 5 or 6 things, activities, that would make a meaningful difference in the success of your business for tomorrow. Okay, 5 or 6 things. And that's really all it is, 5 or 6 things. Most people start on a part-time basis. And so here's 5 or 6 things. Let's make sure they fall into the categories of share the product, share the opportunity, or teach others to do the same. I'm going to throw one more category in there for you, which is personal development or skill sets development. That's one other critical ingredient. And we'll spend some time talking about that on a future broadcast. But the 3 things that we do: share the product, share the opportunity, teach others to do the same. Those should be the activities, those 5 or 6 activities that you commit to writing. And so it might be something like this: fresh piece of paper. I'm going to plan my job, my work for tomorrow. I am going to call Mary Lou and share my product with her, because Mary Lou has said she's interested in losing some weight. I'm going to call Linda, and I'm going to share my income opportunity with me, because I know she's looking for a way to be able to stay home and raise the kids, and getting real burned out with trying to keep the schedule of, job and home and so on. Okay, now I'm going to follow up on, Jimmy, because I got Jimmy on the product 2 days ago. I'm going to follow up and see how well he's doing on the product. I'm going to follow up on Betty, to see if she's been able to watch the Fast Start training, because she's one of my new distributors. And let's see, I need one more activity. I am going to commit to spending 30 minutes in the morning listening to a training, watching the video broadcast that I couldn't see last night, personal development or skill sets development. 5 things I'm going to do. Write those 5 things down. Okay, now, second step, schedule those 5 activities. Open up your day timer, your calendar, what have you, and specify specifically when are you going to call Betty Lou. I'm going to call Betty. She's an early riser. I'm going to call her at 7:30 on my way to work. I'm going to call Bob at noon. I'm going to call, Linda when I get home from work, whatever. Schedule the activity. First step, write down, ink on paper, 5 or 6 things that'll make a meaningful difference in your business. Step 2, put them on your calendar for the following morning. Okay, that's it. Now, go to sleep. The reason you do this, folks, the day before, is because during the night, your subconscious mind will start processing these activities. It's really important to do what the successful people do. And so much of what we do is concepts, not techniques. Okay, so much of what we do has to do with the mind game. The example of, use the product. You're going to be more successful selling it if you use it, because people communicate with feelings, not with words. So next morning you get up. You don't have to guess, what am I going to do for my Zija business today? You've already calendared 5 or 6 activities. Go through the day, get it done, and then at the end of the day, here's step 3. Evaluate your results, celebrate or fix. Now, what that means is before you go to bed, okay, you're going to get out that day's list. You're going to look at those 5 or 6 things that you did, and you're going to evaluate how successful you were. One of 2 things is going to happen. Okay, either you successfully accomplished those 5 or 6 activities, or you didn't. That's all. That's the only options that are available. If you did accomplish those activities, you want to celebrate. Okay, now celebration, that could be something. I'll tell you what my celebration was. When I accomplished my, established goals for the day, I do the little dance. I get up, I go, oh yeah, I did it, I'm cool. Oh yeah, I did it, I'm cool. You might want to, have a bowl of ice cream an extra bowl for dessert. I don't necessarily recommend that, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Find a form of celebration. Stay up 15 minutes late and watch the opening monologue from the Tonight Show or something, whatever, right? The keys to the celebration, they must be meaningful to you. It must be a happy thing for you, and physical, okay? Some kind of physicality involved. If you're doing that, you are anchoring the success in your subconscious. And I'm not the guy that teaches this kind of stuff. There's lots of other people out there that do. I'm just telling you, I learned and I do what the successful people do. Get something that's meaningful to you as a celebration. For me, dancing's a celebration, and it has the physicality to it. And it only takes a few seconds. Oh yeah, I did it. I'm cool. Oh yeah. And then I can move on. Okay. So in that third step, you have to evaluate your results. Now, here's the other option. You may not have accomplished what you had set out to do, in which case you need to fix that problem. And again, this is really kind of simple stuff. When it comes down to fixing why you were not able to accomplish your specified activities, it always comes down into two categories. Okay, so it's easy to fix. First category is you overestimated the amount of time required to accomplish it. So if one of the things you wrote down is, I'm going to prospect 27 people during my lunch break, well, you probably can't celebrate accomplishing that at the end of the day because you probably didn't get it done. Now, in that particular case, it was because you overestimated your capacity to accomplish that specific activity. That is ultimately one of only two possibilities if you can't be celebrating, if you've got to fix something. Here's the second possibility. You failed to follow your schedule. Okay, and that's usually the most likely one. It'll be one or the other. Example, you scheduled to call Bob to share, invite him to look at your income opportunity, and you scheduled to do that at noon. And the problem is that your friend showed up at noon and said, hey, come do lunch with us. We never get to see you. What have you been doing? Come on, don't you like us anymore? And you decided to not do the activity you had scheduled in lieu of doing something else. And ultimately, that's it. Those are the only two possibilities. You overestimated your capacity to accomplish what you set out to accomplish within the time that you had allotted for it, or you failed to follow your schedule. And so at the end of the day, you evaluate your results and you either celebrate or fix. That's the third step. Now, it's kind of like, shampoo, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And then before you go to bed, identify, put this ink on paper, 5 or 6 activities that will make a meaningful difference in your business tomorrow. Once those activities are on paper, schedule them. Put them ink on paper or in your calendar. Schedule when you're going to do them. Go to bed, wake up the next morning, work your plan. At the end of the day, evaluate results, celebrate or fix, do it again. And here's what I'm going to tell you, folks. It's extremely difficult to start, and I know this for myself because it was pure faith when I left trucking and got involved in network marketing. My goal was to create a significant income with time freedom to be able to raise my son. And as I understood it at that time, rich was a 6-figure income, $10,000 a month. To me, $10,000 a month at that point in my life, in my mind, that would have made me rich. Now, quite frankly, I don't know if I'd want to cut back to $10,000 a month today, but that's another story, right? The point being here is that the journey, the mental journey from starting today, you got your products, you're on your first Saturday training, you're putting together your list, to going forward and thinking about creating, $5,000 a month, from a part-time business, 10,000, 20, 30, 50,000 a month from a part-time business. That's an incredible leap. For me, I just had the faith that the people I was working with would show me how, and I really had no other options. Be very clear on this. The things that I've shared with you this morning are the things that will get you there. It's impossible for you to work this type of business as a business and not get results. More significantly, for those of you that are with us this morning, the hardest part of being successful in a network marketing business is finding the right company at the right point in time. That's the hardest part, and you've already got that. You're already with Zija International, and fortunately for you, you've picked probably the best time in Zija's history to be involved. We are literally that far from going into massive explosive growth. Okay, we're at a point in time that the industry professionals would kill to be able to find a Zija International with our product line, the experience, track record, and integrity of our corporate team, the billion-dollar potential infrastructure we have, yet being in before the masses. Okay, the industry professionals that are starting to look at Zija International are starting to recognize why we're the company to be with. There's a reason why Jerry Campisi, okay? Jerry Campisi brought his entire company over to us. Why? Because he knows Cam Brailsford, he knows David Moses, and he knows the greatest opportunity for his entire company was to be here. Same thing with Zango. There's even leaders right now whose names I can't mention because they're already here and making a transition. Now is the right timing. All the elements that you're looking for. And if you simply do that last little thing I talked about, work a daily method of operation, do it over and over again. If they're, my superpower, folks, because I'm not that special. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, wow, Fred Holmes, network marketing professional. Honestly, that's not the case. I'm not that good at this, okay? I know good professional network marketers. I'm not one of them. But my secret power is the ability to get up every morning, do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. Share the product, share the opportunity, teach others to do the same, be consistent long enough. And well, the results that I've had speak for themselves. More importantly, look at the people that have been able to get involved with Zija, members of my organization, other people's organizations, and the results they've had. So with that, folks, I can see, wow, I hope you guys are just about as impressed with me. I hit it right on the money. We're right at the top of the hour. I typically do a question and answer session, folks. I'm going to pass on that right now because what I really wanted to do this morning was to get that little bonus training in on daily method of operation. I hope that was helpful to you. Quick recap, not recap, but focus on this upcoming week. We just hit cycle 4 of period 118. So this is our last week to wrap up period 118. We've had a great period so far. Stay with it, folks. Be consistent. David Moses, Millionaires in Training is going to happen on Monday. Wednesday evening, brand new tool. Go to www.clubmoringa.com. Wednesday evening at 9:30 Eastern Time, we're going to have a special presentation strictly on the products. It's Pat Anderson, Health Talk with Pat Anderson. Okay, it's a brand new tool. It's the next generation of what Pat and I did many years ago to build Zija from 10 million a year to 50 million a year. Thursday night, an hour earlier at 8:30 in the evening, again, clubmoringa.com. Look for the Biz Talks with Fred Holmes. I will be doing a short business overview, and I will have a guest speaker that I'll interview that will share, why they are involved or what they did. Last week we had Reed Nelson, industry legend. Reed and Yvonne have made tens of millions of dollars, and they came from the company they'd been in for 25 years and decided to come to Zeege International. Remember, success leaves clues. Do what the successful people are doing. So Wednesday night product, clubmoringa.com, 9:30 Eastern. Thursday night, business opportunity presentation. Again, you can access the webinar from clubmoringa.com. Just look for Biz Talks with Fred Holmes. Click on the join meeting link there. We're going to wrap up the week, and then next Saturday here on this same Zoom webinar address, I'll be doing a fast start training. I will do question and answers at that time, and then for those of you that are part of the organization, I will be announcing my first Saturday of the period team call, so I can give you updates from the Diamond Club call. And I think that's all I got for you. I'm going to go do breakfast with Mom right now. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and thanks for joining us. Excited to see all of you at the upcoming convention. All right, take care now. Bye-bye.